handling any corrosive acids, and you need to have, or you need to use, or the company need to use a fire-rated walls around the solvent storage rooms, as a blaze can spread the adjacent areas, or if there is a fire, so hindi agad mag-spread out. Then substitution of materials use factors to be considered. Swap of a hazardous inputs of, or for a less risky one without compromising the performance. So the key factor that can affect is the technological and economic feasibility, availability of substitute material, the toxicology, and the safety profile or aspect. The process of modification, you need to redesign. You need to redesign the workflow to cut contaminant creation or isolate points of contact. So, as to reduce the contaminant generation, we have switched from a one batch of reactors, or kung lagi siyang ino-open yung storage. So, we need to switch to a closed batch para po hindi magkaroon ng before when inopen natin yung lid, kasi mas safe kapag closed. And by elimination naman, the temperature and the catalyst choice to steer reaction away from toxic side reaction, and para ma-minimize natin ang contact and the contamination. So yung close system natin is lagyan natin ng automation or automated filling, sampling, and cleaning para yung operators never open the storage or any other system that is being hazardous for them. Then isolation and shielding. So here, as a closed system, so the transfer of, for example, is chlorine gas through a sealed pipe and mechanical pump. So no more, or no open cylinders, and no more direct exposure. So for the enclosure, if the total or the partial usually combined with local excess ventilation, separation walls, ito yung mga, for example, is mga corrosive agents natin that are kept in high heat. So, kailangan ay fire-rated walls ang gamit. Then, distance of kailangan kapag super toxic or super hazardous yung isang operation. So, kailangan is may distance ang bawat area na pinagagawaan. So, for the ventilation, uh, so ventilation, we need to ensure the condition of the thermal comfort by maintaining or reducing the excess or the high volume of uh, hazardous substance that are suspended in the air. So during the ventilation, so you need to have an exhaust para po ma-sanction nila yung before doon sa working environment, and mapalitan ng fresh air or the cycle of the air. So why this is important? Because by layering the planning, the substitution, the process tweaks, the isolation, and the ventilation, so possible na ma-minimize or mabawasan or clearly maalis ang hazard or yung pinagmumula ng hazard. And the engineering control to reduce reliance on administrative rules and the PPE, so your team can work safer every day. Then we have the types of industrial ventilation. So types of industrial ventilation, we have the general uh, or dilution ventilation. Ginagamit po ang ating general or dilution ventilation kapag may contaminants na low toxicity, may emission rates are modest, workers stand well away from source, and outside air intake is clean. So ano nga ba tong ventilation na to? Ito po yung flooding a workspace with fresh air. So yung airborne contaminants natin is hindi nabibuild doon sa to the point na ang level niya is dangerous na. And then local exhaust ventilation. Sa local exhaust ventilation, ginagamit siya for the contaminants that are moderately or highly toxic or hazardous. Excuse me. Only one or few fixed emission sources are present. There is a risk of direct worker exposure. So, ito is by hooking a vacuum directly at the emission point. So, the contaminant, hindi siya nakakawala sa general air. And we have core principle here is the enclose, capture, keep, and discharge. So, enclose the contaminant, so enclose the source as much as possible. Capture contaminant with adequate air velocities or with sufficient air velocity at the hood face. Convey through ductwork or keep contaminant out of the worker's breathing zone and discharge the exhausted air outdoors. Or we need to recirculate after the filtration kung i-allowed ano. Next we have the basic elements of hood classifications. Ano, the basic elements of the LEB component. So we have the hood. So ito ang nagagrabs ng mga contaminants. Then we have the ductwork. Ito naman yung mga piper or the pipe size for minimal pressure loss. Then we have a fan and monitor that generate the suction force, air cleaning device for the filtration, scrubbers, or any electrostatic precipitators. Then we have the exhaust stock or the releases process air that is away from the people. Whole classification, I mean hood. We have enclosure, exterior receiving. So kapag enclosure surrounds the source, kapag exterior, place above a source, and by receiving, so by capturing the drifting contaminants. Next, we have the in administrative control. So pag sinabi nating administrative controls, these are the management-driven policies and procedures that can limit the worker exposure by changing the way the people work um, rather than by altering the hazard itself. So by reduction, it can shorten the time of the employees that is exposed or spent in a hazardous waste or hazardous working environment for adjusting work schedules. There is also a shifts offered or rotational work task. And for the employee information and training, so the worker are being taught by their supervisor or the training officer about the hazards, the safety procedures, and even the emergency response. For the job rotation, it's like just the adjusting of work schedule, rotate rotate the workers through different tasks so no workers spends excessive time in a high risk job. Then for the education of supervisors, so train line managers need to be recognized the unsafe practices, enforce policies, and coach employees on health and safety principles. Then use of protective equipment, personal protective equipment. This is the last resort of the protective equipment. Bakit ang PPE po? Because it is in the bottom of the hierarchy of control, so it protects the individual. After all other hazard reducing measures have been applied, and PPE doesn't eliminate the hazard, but it simply forms the barrier between the worker and the risk. So, bakit ang PPE ang last resort again? Because uh, you wear PPE to protect you. It doesn't remove the hazard. And PPE can restrict movement, uh, um, dangerous substance can prevent with the direct contact with your body. So that is the PPE. And we have different types and uses of PPE. So we have here the dust, our gas respirators, for safety goggles and spectacles, face shields, aprons, safety shoes, and helmets. We also have earplugs, earmuffs, and gloves. So this will be your case number 3. So may announcement ako later. Ah, so tapos na tayo sa lecture 3. Start tayo ng lecture for 5-minute break. Inom lang akong tubig. Start po tayo ng lecture 4 about personal protective equipment. So again, ang personal protective equipment natin, this is the last resort that sits at the bottom of the hierarchy of controls and protects the individual after all the hazard reducing measurements or measures. So we have different types of PPE from the head protection, ear protection, eyes and face protection. So iba't iba pong klase ang ating PPE. And every PPE or some of the PPE is may sinusunod na standard uh, size or dapat pumasa sa standard ng ANSI or ng American National Standard Institute. So mamaya ma-discuss siya. So program to introduce PPE. So here, ano, ako'y nagkaklase, wag kang magulo. So once it is decided that personal equipment is going to be used, so we need to uh, kailangan nating sundin yung following, yung limang ito. So write a policy on the usage of the PPE and communicate it with the employees or the visitor. So kailangan may policy ang isang industry or company para po aware sila na they need to wear PPE at times, even the visitors in the company or industry. Then select the proper type of equipment. So every equipment has its own specific functions. So kailangan mo munang i-assess kung saan mo gagamitin, no? Then implement a thorough training program. So dito naman is the company or the industry should provide a training program regarding the safety training and response. Then make a certain the employee knows the correct use and maintenance of the equipment. So ituturuan din paano sila paano nila itatago ng maayos and ma-maintain ang good quality ng PPE and enforce its use. Then for the policy, so ito nga yung sa company na they should have a simply state the need for the use of the personal protective equipment with no exemption. Exemption if there is a limitation for PPE, but mostly it should have no limitation. It should have no exception. Then for safe use of any personal protective device, it is essential that the user be properly instructed in its selection, use, and maintenance. No, both the supervisors and the workers shall be so instructed by competent persons. For the selection of proper equipment, dito naman is yung sinasabi ko na every equipment has its own function. So for example is safety shoes. So every hindi naman so pare-parehas ang safety shoes. May iba't iba silang function and may iba't iba din silang design for its function. Later on, maano natin siya. So selection of proper equipment. So you need to assess muna the hazard, identify what hazard it is, even whether it is chemical, physical, or biological, and you need to determine its intensity or the impact of this hazard, and then check if this PPE pass the standard and certification, the international standard, and then you should be fit for you should be comfortable or dapat fit yung inyong PPE sa inyo. Hindi yung ah, nag nag-PPE kayo pero puro kayo reklamo na ay masikip, hindi kasya, maluag, ganyan. Dapat it fits the body. Then compatibility, so verify the multiple PPE items that are work together without gaps. And yung kailangan din dito na yung maintenance is alam nyo kung paano at saka malaman nyo din kung gaano ka-durable yung PPE na yun. So, yun po ang selection of property equipment. Then we have proper training. The proper training is the next step to obtain. So getting the workers to consistently wear the personal protective equipment. So it boils down the three pillars, which is the extent to which the personnel who must wear the equipment understand its necessity. So the worker must know why each piece of the PPE is vital. Number two is the ease of comfort with which it can be worn with minimum of interference with normal procedure. So ill-fitting or if you're not comfortable and cover some gears, so it will slowly or you are not be productive because iniisip mo na hindi fit sa'yo yung uh, PPE. And then last is the accountability and social dynamics. So we have the economic sanctions. So yung mga fines, mga loss of bonuses, mga restricted privilege, and for the social sanction naman, syempre peer pressure, ano pa ba? Team, nanonormalize nyo yung paggamit ng PPE. Walang pasok ang sir eh. So the disciplinary measure, kapag dito naman is magkakaroon kayo ng written reports, written warnings, even the worst case, tagasan ba yun? Written warnings or the worst case you have suspension for willful non-compliance or hindi pagsunod sa PPE. So in an organization, uh, es- they need to establish the PPE culture and meron din tayo dito na ini-introduce natin ang PPE sa new groups or sa mga newly hired. So establish the PPE culture. So the situation is when the PPE has been a mandatory for years, so newly hires need to learn it's not negotiable, non-negotiable. So i-approach nyo sila na the issue is approved during the onboarding or provide a quick demo on how to use it, conduct a periodic spots that checks and become it's the second nature. For the new group naman is when the workers have never worn this type of equipment. So ang challenge dyan is magkakaroon ng unfamiliarity sa mga routines and also misconception about the discomfort of the discomfort because hindi naman nga sila nagsusuot. Um, you, paano pa ito resolve. So you need to have a communication workshop, explain the hazard, the real life incident story be on the company if meron para ma-aware sila na they need to wear this kind of PPE, mga hands-on trials, yan. Then magkakaroon kayo ng feedback regarding that workshop and leadership modeling. So dito na tayo sa training program outline. So meron tayong CM na training program outline na pwedeng gamitin. So i-describe natin ang hazard. Ano ba ang hazard? Mga conditions sa work environment. We also have telling what has, can be, or not, or cannot be done about it, explaining why a certain type of PPE has been selected. Excuse me. Discussing the capabilities and the limitation of the PPE, demonstrating how to use or adjust and that fits the PPE on you, practicing using the PPE, explaining the company's policy and its enforcement, and discussing how to deal with the emergency and how PPE will be paid for, maintained, repaired, and clean. So, start tayo ng mga PPE for the head protection. So, ito naman is mga self-explanatory. So, hindi ko na siya bibigyan ng deep explanation. So, kung para saan at kung ano ito, yun na lang ang gagawin ko. So, for the head protection, the survey shows that the most of the employers na nagkakaroon ng injury is 5% of that is may hard hats. The rest is walang hard hat. So, meaning, hindi sila aware na they need to use hard hats for regarding with their work. So, para saan ba ang hard hat? So, hard hat is for the head protection that can be used in the workplace to protect your head to avoid the injuries or any accident. So, that is the protection for the head. And inspection of that hazard, that hard hat is, alam niyo, 'di ba alam niyo yung hard hat, merong parang plastic na naka-bend before the top of the hard hat, yung surface ng hard hat. So, dapat ang allowance nun from that parang plastic uh, uh, object na yon is 1.5 or 1.25 inches. Dapat may allowance na 1.25 inches before it reaches the surface of the hard hat. So hindi pwedeng sobrang lapat agad yung ating head doon sa hard hat. Then you need to check if the hard hat is may crack or may damage. And after checking, so if there is a damage or crack, so you need to report it for further issuance of another set of hard hats. Then if you are going to work in an electrical field, so it is so dangerous or hazardous, so your hard hat should have a conductive material so that inside the shell so that it is safe for you. to use it or work in that electrical area. So use object should not be placed inside a safety hat between the shell and the suspension device. So, 'di ba may space nga doon before that surface of the hard hat. So, bawal magtago ng kahit anong bagay doon. Ano, and safety hats should be kept free of abrasions, scrapes, and nicks, and should not be deliberately dropped, thrown, or otherwise abused because they will uh, lose their protective qualities. And the ventilation should not be drilled in the safety hats. For the eye and face protection naman, so causes of eye and face injuries, sabi dyan, 60% of the workers daw is suffered from eye injuries noong 1980. We're not wearing any eye protective equipment. So it is important to wear any kind of eye protective equipment or face protection like the face shields, goggles, spectacles para mabawasan, malimit natin, ma-minimize, and ma-avoid natin ang injuries or accidents. Then we have eye washer. Ang eye washer po is kailangan meron sa isang workplace or sa isang area of environment. Why? Because, for example, if there is you are working in operations with chemicals, so natalsikan yung mata mo ng chemical, so the first thing to do is hugasan mo agad ang mata mo before habang nag-iintay kayo ng iba pang help from the other uh, healthcare or medical officers. So that is the first thing to do. Then dapat malapit sa kanila. Even kapag hindi naman or kapag wala naman sa mismong area of the working area is kailangan mas malapit kahit sa labas lang ano. And then the minimum requirements. So eye protectors must meet the following minimum requirements. Provide adequate protection against a particular hazard, reasonably comfortable, fit snugly without interfering with the movements or vision of the wearer. That is, the eye protection should be, or the protectors be durable, be capable of being disinfected, be easily cleanable, kept in a good repair, kept clean and in good repair, design construction. So ito yung sinasabi ko na kailangan ma-meet yung standard ni ANSI Z87.1 based on the 1989 standard testing of the American National Standard Institute. So dapat yung design, construction, and testing is naka-align dito or nakapasa sa testing ni ANSYS Z87.1. Ito ay for the eye protection. So kapag sa iba naman, so iba namang number ang nandito. So selection, so in selecting proper protector for the eye, nakadepende pa rin yan sa kung saan mo gagamitin. For example, welding. You can use face shield or goggles. Goggles or eyewear na for welding, like yung may black uh, black glass dun sa mismong salamin kasi masakit sa mata kapag nakatitig. Ano, so bawal yung mga transparent. So goggles come in a number of different styles. The eye cups, flexible or cushion goggles, plastic eye shield goggles, and foundry men's goggles. So these goggles are manufactured by several styles for specific uses such as uh, protection or protecting against dust and splash in chippers, welders, and cutters models. Corrective lenses, kung kayo may mga salamin sa mata, malabo ang mata, kailangan is kapag nagsuot kayo ng eye protection is hindi siya nakakasagabal. Kapag, for example, is magsusuot pa kayo ng face shield or ng ng eyewear na isa pa. So, dapat alam nyo na hindi or comfortable kayo at hindi nakakasagabal. And then, for the face shield, should only be used as an eye and face protection in areas where splashing or dust rather than impact resistance is the problem. And in case of grinding operations, so you should wear the face shield in only secondary protection to other protective devices such as the safety goggles. Contact lenses, yes, pwedeng mag-wear ng contact lenses unless pinayagan ka ng company or ng industry na you need to wear contact lenses. But most of the time, if ma-avoid na magsuot ng contact lenses, pwede naman. Pero if your contact lenses have grade, is you need to tell or you need to report to the supervisor for the use of your contact lenses. We have ear protection. So sa ear protection, ito ang mga excessive noise, exposure. So kailangan natin dito ng mga ear muffs, earplugs, that can protect our ears. So meron tayong mga earplugs na ginagamit na disposable. So that is one time used and you can throw that away. And meron din tayo ng non-disposable but after using, you need to clean it and store it properly. And earmuffs must make a perfect seal around the ear to be effective. Glasses, long sideburns, long hair, and facial movements, such as chewing, can reduce protection. Okay. For the leg and the foot and leg protection, so foot and leg protection are common and often preventable with the right protective gear and why safety footwear matters. So kasi noong 1981, there is a survey found that most of the job foot injuries occurred when workers and wore or wala silang suot na any protective shoes. So kalimitan daw yung accident is because of the objects that is dropping fewer than 4 feet or 1.2 meters weighing 30 kilograms. Wait lang po. So injuries happen during the task, underscoring that the hazards aren't just one worst case event of their work. And then the proper footwear can prevent um, crushing, punctures, burns, slips, and chemical splashes. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na iba namang number. So safety footwear is classified according to its ability to meet the minimum requirements for both the compression and the impact test. So they need to meet the requirements of the ANSI Z41 1991. Kung ang kanina ay Z87 at ay Z41 1991, ang kanina is 1998. I think 1989, sorry. So 87.1, 1989. Ang atin na mga foot and leg protection is Z41 1999. Conductive shoes. Ay, by the way, dito pala sa ating ANSI Z41 1991, the impact test should be a 75 feet pounds na idadrop doon sa mismong footwear para matest kung gaano siya ka-durable. Ano? So, 75 feet pounds. And then, compression test is about 2,000 pound-feet that is applied to the toe. Conductive shoes, so ito yung iba pang type ng safety shoes na kailangan kapag ikaw ay sa electrical sites or electrical environment. So you need to have a conductive shoes. It protects you against the buildup of the static electricity or equalize the electrical potential between the personnel and the ground. Electrical hazard safety shoes are non-conductive and protect against open circuits of 600 volts or less under uh, a dry condition. So electrical hazard shoes are not intended for use in explosive or hazardous location. Next po, safety belts, lifelines, and lanyards. So ito po yung ginagamit for the kapag kay mga nakalambitin ang inyong trabaho. For example, is painting a tall building. So meron ginagamit diyang mga safety belts, mga lifelines, and lanyards. So kailangan daw po ang inyong lifelines is 7/8 inches or 2 centimeter wire core, the Manila rope. So lifelines, belts, and lanyard exist solely to keep a worker from falling. So they aren't rated or permitted to leave or suspend tools, materials, or people. Then safety belts and lanyards must be capable to withstand the tensile loading of 4,000 pounds or almost 2,000, the 1,812 kilograms, without cracking, breaking, or taking a permanent deformation. All the fabric and the leather used for the safety strap should withstand the AC dielectric test and be tested for leakage current. So you, it should have be conductive also or can withstand the AC dielectric test. And then we have the Coast Guard. So dito naman is yung mga approved life jacket or yung mga buoyant work vest should be used if there is a danger of falling into the water while working. So for emergency rescue operation, the boat and the ring buoys with at least the 90 feet or 27.4 meter of line should be provided. So in short, these rules make sure your fall protection gear is solely for stopping falls, always anchored safely, built tough enough to survive the real shock, load, and when needed, insulated against electricity also. So that's it for our lecture 4. So here sa ating collaborative exploration of workplace safety, understanding and demonstrating the use of PPE is grinop ko po kayo. Nagroup ko na po kayo. So nagroup ko na po kayo. O 5. Eto. So you need to portray the appropriate PPE. So you need to wear the PPE based on these workplaces. We have 9 groups. Then isa lang po ang magsusuot. The other is magdi-discuss, i-explain ang importance ng bawat PPE and how it protects the workers in a specific environment. So bali dito, um, y- may 9 groups tayo na kailangan. Based on this 9, the construction site, healthcare facility, chemical, manufacturing, laboratory, mining, electrical, agricultural, and food processing. So, nagroup ko na to. So, kayo na ang bahala kung sino magiging taga-suot nyo ng PPE. Nakalagay na din dyan kung ano ang pwedeng isuot. So, ang presentation natin is July 7 kasi yun ang ating next face-to-face. Kasi next week is online tayo. And after July 7, July 9 naman po is your midterm exam. So this PPE modeling is your part 1 of your midterm exam because this will be the 50 points of your exam and another 50 points for the midterm exam. Written, written exam on July 9. Okay po. Kindly click the heart react if nagets po. Any questions po? Another one na announcement. Kailangan ko po ng group. 5 members each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ito po is yung safety audits. 41. Wait lang. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. Yan. 8. 8 groups na may 5 members. So ito po i-free choice na lang. Isasend ko na lang po ang link dito sa ating Google Meet and isasend ko din later kay BOD. Yan. And dito naman is yung area of your audit, safety audit. So, pwede dito ang small establishments, palengke, your community, ano pa ba? Schools, mga small industry. Basta yung hindi na kailangan ng mga letter-letter, yung mamamaalam na lang kayo na kung pwede mag-conduct ng safety audit. And ipopost ko, isasend ko ang format for the safety audit within this week. So give me time. That is the second announcement. Third announcement, ang submission pala nito is July 23. To dito, July 23, Wednesday. Third announcement po is about sa case studies. So, regarding the case studies, gawin nyo na po pala lahat. Hindi ko na siya ipapasubmit on next week. Ipapasubmit ko siya wait. Online F to F. Online F to F. Monday, July 21, lahat. So, bale, magiging, for example, itong si Albanyo. Dapat po, ang lahat ng kanyang case study 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is naka-stapler. Sama-sama. Hindi ko na kailangan na hiwa-hiwalay ang inyong, ito ang case study 1, case study 2, 3, 4. Kailangan ko is, ang isang student is sama-sama ng naka-stapler ang kanyang case study 1 to 6. That ang due po is July 21. So, if you have time, you can answer it na. Kasi binasa ko naman siya. Most of them is parang i-analyze nyo lang. Common na lang. Common explanation lang din yun naman iba. I think kaya nyo naman siyang tapusin hanggang July 21. So, max na po yung sked na yun kasi checkan ko pa siya. And balitaan ko kayo sa finals kung anong plano. Yun. Yun lang po ang aking mga announcement today. And hanggang dun lang din po ang class natin for today. So, kindly open your camera. Mag-screenshot lang po ako ng attendance. Nasa hall eh. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Isa pa. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for attending, for listening, and see you next week.
Thank you po, sir.
Sige po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.